Oh, I'm live. Another impromptu live. I know I say that a lot, but I genuinely wasn't planning to go live today again. I just had a natural. It was about 12, and I was like, oh, this is around the time I've been going live on and off over the last like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know how many weeks it's been now, a couple of weeks. And I'd sort of come to a natural juncture in my working day, and I was having a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, and I thought, might do a wee live and just talk about, have a catch up and just have a little talk about some tarot stuff, and stuff and things basically. No one watching at the moment, that's all right, I'll just keep guessing. But I think this is just checking. I've got my. It bugs me when I'm not like central in my in my camera viewfinder thing. I need that whatchamacallit, what's his name? Oh, bloody hell. Hello, Sam. What's his name? Why is my brain just completely farted? Grand Budapest Hotel, Life Aquatic, Moonrise Kingdom. Oh my God. The director, he's so famous. My brain. I literally bought a friend a book of photography of places that look like Wes Anderson. Oh my God. There's a book, a photography book called Accidentally Wes Anderson. And it's all, buildings and places that look like they're straight out of a Wes Anderson film. Yeah. That's it, Sam. Because he has this knack of centralizing his shots. He has a very specific way of filming. That's very Wes Anderson. He has a very distinctive aesthetic style, which I love. You got there the same time as me, says Sam. Yeah. So I like it. I can still see it's off a little bit, but the bedroom is a trash hole anyway. Oh my God, there's like more and more decks piling up over there and I keep thinking, well, I'll put them all back away in their box, but then I'm like, I need them for keep putting into pouches to take photos and video shots anyway. So what I'm going to do today, what I finished this morning, is putting all the ribbons on the pouches I've made this week. And I am going to press all the ribbons because sometimes they get a little bit creased. So make sure the ribbons are nice and neat and pressed. And then I'm going to put decks in them and do the pouches, do the photos and the little video snippets. Depending on how the lighting goes, it's starting to get very dark. I don't think it's going to rain, so it should be okay. And then I'm going to put the bloody decks away because I hopefully won't need them until next week when I do more photos of pouches. So hi, Chris. Hello, Aquarius Owl. So yeah, I'm okay, Chris. I was just saying I've been doing some putting ribbons on pouches. I have a plethora of pouches. That's a good alliteration. I was inspired literally by the color wheel, by the rainbows. I don't want to get tea on them, but there's no black, gray, or brown on the outside, and because this was all the fabric that I had left, and I'm still waiting for the fabric that I ordered to come in. But look at this full rainbow there's 12 pouches. So, because it's spring, right? And it's Easter next week, so we need colourfuls. I'm excited to get them all photographed and stuff. And there was just something else what was I going to do? It's gone out of my head. But I have all these little hearts because I cut hearts out for the pouches. But then sometimes I'm like, actually, I want to use a slightly different colour heart. So a really good example of that is that I did this like yellow with cream on the inside and then green stitching and a green ribbon, and I cut out a yellow heart because the pouch is yellow, but actually this is a 3-color pouch because it's cream on the inside, and actually the yellow against the cream stands out less. So what I did is I actually cut a green heart to match the dark green thread. And I like, it gives it a little bit more of a quirk to it, doesn't it? Because sometimes I do 2-color pouches, sometimes I do 3-color pouches, sometimes I do a 1-color pouch or 1 tonal pouch. Like, so I did one that is all the pink. So there's like cream, baby pink, and hot pink, and which is fun. And then like another tonal one is like it's pink and red, so pink and red, which is like such a like Valentine. This just makes me think of Valentine's Day. So yeah, but I put like a red one in that because it's just 2 colors. So yeah, sometimes I do 2 colors, sometimes I do 3 colors. I just go by eye, what makes me happy. Hello, Marsha, lovely to see you. Hello, Kathy. So yeah, good morning to whoever it's morning. It's just gone midday here in the UK. That rhymes. But yeah, so I have all these little hearts, and I'm like, oh, it's so cute. It's like heart confetti, but made out of felt. Reusable felt confetti. Oh my God. So yeah, I need to work out what to do with these. But I love them. I have so many. I have so many little felt hearts. Hello, butterfly love child. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to mostly talk about something. This will be a quick one, she says, but it was just because I for those of you that have been watching know that I've been using the Tarot del Toro predominantly, and I got this. It would have been November last year for my anniversary from my husband, one of my presents, the obligatory boob straighten up. So I just go, I have to, it has to be done. If I've got a deck in my hand, oh, that sounds a bit wrong out of context. If I've got a deck in my hand, I have to shuffle it. So the cardstock on this as well, it's really nice, and it's a mass market deck. I think they've done a wonderful job, and the artist, what's his name, something Hiho, Tomas Hiho, I think he's done the Labyrinth tarot as well. Oh. Anyway, so I'm hoping it's going to be as good a quality as this one. I think it must be the same producer, deck producer. They don't usually produce decks, the publisher, but they've done a very good job on this one. But yeah, I've been using this since November. I know there's been a couple of times where I've not touched a deck. So like for most of February, I didn't really touch tarot because I was in an anxiety pit, as I like to call it. And I just, when I'm in that bad of a place, I can't. Actually, that's made me think of something else. I'm going to write a note so I don't get lost on my own side quest, as I'm calling them now. Tools or... because it reminds me of something. It reminds me of a video I saw on YouTube, and I have a different perspective to the person who I haven't watched them for ages actually, but I'll talk about it. Okay. So yeah, I had been. Hello, Laura. Hello, Deanne. You all right, lovely? Hello, Al4N777, catchy name. Yeah, I've been using this since November, and I've been obsessed, quite frankly. I think I've spoken about it quite a bit in my videos and on some lives that I've done with other people on their channels. I think when Simon did a live chat with me, we did a couple of catch up and cards or catching up with. This was the deck that I sort of talked about as my deck of du jour. Hi, Jamie. Yeah, I've been really, really loving it. But the last couple of weeks, when I've sat down to do my week ahead, and I usually do that either on a Sunday evening or a Monday morning, depending on my schedule, because sometimes the day runs away with me on a Sunday, and then, we'll sit down and me and my husband will, I'm not going to be doing a tarot reading if I'm going to want to sit down and have dinner with my husband, and then we would usually watch a film. And then my brain is elsewhere by that point. Hello, Kristen. Lovely to see you. And the last couple of weeks maybe I've really been for daily draws, which I do sporadically. I go through phases. I think a lot of us are like that. I was like, I'm glad I'm being a bit of a distraction for you, Jamie. That's good. I hope you're okay. I was really and just I don't want to do a reading, or it was a bit like pulling teeth, which it shouldn't, right? Or I'm you feel like you should do, it's a new week. If I don't do the week ahead reading now, then I've blown it, which is just silly. Just read whenever you want. Yeah, daily-ish draws. I'm the same, Laura. I'll go through phases where I'll do 6 weeks hardcore daily draws, and then I'll do none for a month, and then it'll be sporadic again. So it's fine, right? Just whatever. I'm one of those people that needs a certain amount of structure, but too much structure and I freak out. So it makes sense for my brain anyway. But yeah, I was really I don't know, and I wasn't wanting to pick it up. And then last week during my Dungeons and Dragons game, and I did talk about this in the live I did last Thursday, I think it was, or the last Friday, I was sitting and like shuffling decks, as I'm one to do sometimes, because there's so many over there, because I've been using them for Etsy photos. I was just really enjoying shuffling decks, and I was shuffling mostly, I've got them over there, I was talking about the Stretch Tarot, which I was like, oh yeah, I have the Stretch Tarot. This exists. I think it's kind of object impermanence with me, because they're blocked away, down, not locked away, they're down there in a box. I kind of forget they exist sometimes, certain decks, and the Crystal Unicorn. But they're very, very Smith weighty. And, you know, I was enjoying looking at them and shuffling them, but I've been reading with pip decks, and this is a pip deck. It's not a Marseille, it's a pip. Yeah, and you're not the only one that does sporadic, Deanne. Like, I think there's loads of us. I think there's this pressure to feel like we have to have a daily practice and we have to you know. But it's like anything, like too much of anything cannot be good for you. Like, I think for me, my main daily practice is like a spiritual practice where I'm at my altar, even if it is like 1 minute. If all I can manage is 1 minute on my cushion in front of my altar and deep breaths and giving offerings, you know, I've done something, right? So yeah, I've been using pip decks, and then but I've been not feeling it, and I don't know if I thought it was just me not feeling tarot the last like week or two, like wanting to actually do daily draws, and I've been so like, my brain's been like Etsy. But last night during my D&D game, because we play D&D on Wednesdays, I was shuffling this, which is the Numinous Tarot. And this deck is awesome, but I hadn't read properly with it for quite a while. I really enjoy looking at it and like looking at the images. All the names, there's no gendered titles on this deck, which I really like. And this is one of the few decks where I see myself and my friends and the environment around me in it. It's really great. It's really colourful. It's really fun. But I was shuffling it, and because it's based on the Smith weight structure, it's not a pip deck. It has situational pips. So I think that's why I haven't, you know, I've just been like, I'm pip brain, and Thoth as well, which is kind of pipish anyway. So yeah, I'm just like shuffling it, and then the game, just towards the end of our game, and we were just having our little like post game, like just not sign off, but like debrief, as it were. And I was like doing a little shuffling, and like a little, oh, you know what? I'm going to do a draw for tomorrow. Just a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of advice, something that I need to hear, maybe. I'm dropping cards now. And I'll just use it. Doesn't matter that it's not dropping it, that it's not a pip deck. I'll just, you know, go for it. And I pulled 3 cards, and of course, because it is tarot, it was on the bloody nose, right? Because tarot. So I get so stuck in my head. It's not even funny. It is a problem. It is partly to do with my anxiety disorder. Hello, Robin. Hello, Stephanie. Oh, wow. Stephanie Burrows is in my live chat. It's so exciting. Yeah, so I was that wasn't meant to be sarcasm by Stephanie. Stephanie, you're the creator of the Oak, Ash and Thorn. Am I thinking that correctly? Am I getting the name right? I just saw Stephanie and then my brain went there. So yeah, because it's tarot and tarot does that. Yeah, I got a really good message. And yeah, I've just been really like overthinking everything with Etsy, and like, oh my God, like last week I didn't get the little earrings sewn that I wanted to get sewn because everything yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, and then I realized it seemed like I was it looked like I might have been being sarcastic, like, oh, Stephanie Burrows is in my, but it wasn't like that. And then my brain farted, and I was like, what if you've got the wrong person? Because that's, my brain panics. My brain panics, I panic. My brain is me. Kind of. Is your brain you, or are you your brain? Anyway, that's way too existential for right now. Anyway, so yeah, she says, talking about being stuck in her own head. I get very stuck in my own head, and I was thinking about like panicking about Etsy, and I was like, all the things that I was doing last week, and time got away from me, and there were things that I wanted to get done that I didn't get done. And I'm like being really, really hard on myself. I'm like, I've got to get the earrings out. I really want to get the earrings and some other bits and bobs, and I don't have packaging for earrings. And what am I doing? And what if people like, what if I put out the next batch of pouches and people hate them? Anyway, I need to just take control of the situation. So that I just did a 3-card pull, and because I read it in the way that I read Marseille and Pip decks, where I don't do I don't do positional spreads. Like if it's a 3-card, I don't do mind, body, spirit, or past, present, future, or something like that. I don't do that. I just read it as a tableau, as it were. And yeah, so I got the 8 of Bells, which is swords. The Fool. Am I doing this? Is this showing up the right way around? It doesn't really matter, I guess. Well, I read it as a story going this way, which isn't always the case, depending on, I can read them as a joint message, a bit like Lenormand, or I'll read them as a storyboard, depending on what. Like, it's just intuitive, guys. And I came up with the Founder, which is the Emperor in this deck. Ugh. Well, this is just going great. Let's just show them one at a time. I love this deck so much. So colourful. And I was like, boy, if that's not a message I needed to hear. So this is your own creation, Caliber. This is, oh God, I just said myself in the third person. You know, take that leap, just go for it, and be the architect of your own empire. I don't want to use the word empire, even though that's what an emperor is. You know, the founder, be the architect of your own destiny. I don't know. But yeah, the Founder, which I prefer over emperor. I can't remember what empress is in this, actually, off the top of my head. I can't even remember. Actually, it'll be quicker to look in the book for it. This book is so good that goes with the deck. And the third printing, I think the third printing was just funded on Kickstarter for those who are interested in the Numinous Tarot. I am aware that the creator has changed their name. So the name that's on here is no longer, I don't want to dead name them in there, but yeah, it's the Numinous Tarot, and it's a really good, the book is great. So let's see, what is the Empress in this? I cannot remember. The Diviner, which I love, is the High Priestess. The Nurturer, yeah, it's the Nurturer, that's it. And the thing that I like about the Nurturer is it has a non-sort of, there's no specific gender being represented. There's no pregnancy. There we go. Excuse me. I really, really like that. And you can see there's like a little, the symbols, the sigils there. You've got the earth symbol, and then like the orb symbol, or the elemental, the wheel symbol. Oh my God. Brain. But yeah, I just was like, oh, what a lovely message. I really need that. It's like a really Cedar McLeod. Thank you, Laura. I didn't want to give, I knew it was Cedar something, but I didn't want to give Cedar without having the surname. So thank you, Laura. That's brilliant. New cardstock, same as the Threadbound. I really want the Threadbound, my goodness. What's the cardstock like on the Threadbound? Do you have it, Laura? I can't remember if you said if you have it. But anyone that knows because this is quite glossy, but it's nice. Like, I mean, I'd say my gilding has held up pretty well. It's a little chipped, but not as chipped as you would think. Like some of my decks like really wear quite quickly, but I'd say this has held up pretty well. There's some patches missing, but it's textured matte linen. Oh, Laura, meow, that sounds amazing. Textured matte linen is like the chef's kiss of like cardstock for me anyway, especially lately. It's the same, like I think the newer versions of the Prisma Visions have that new Cosma Visions cardstock, because I've got one of the original, I think I've got the second printing of the Prisma Visions, and it's so shiny, and it does put me off a little bit. I don't do online readings or anything like that. I don't really take pictures of my readings a lot of the time. Like I've had people go, why don't you post loads of tarot on your Instagram account? It's like, well, my Instagram account is my personal account. It's not a tarot Instagram account, but also I'm actually surprisingly like private about my tarot readings for myself, and also about like my practice. I don't know. It's just always. I think it's because I'm entrenched in that like mid 90s, late 90s sort of keep it so you don't share that stuff. You just don't. And obviously with social media, everything has opened up and the rules are changing. But like my first experiences of that was you keep it private. Which is fine. All Cosmovisions is in the mail. Lovely, exciting. So yeah, and it was funny because I've been reading with pip decks, and whenever I've tried to like have a little bit of a read with a situational deck or a Smith-Waite deck or Smith-Waite base deck over the last year or so, maybe a bit longer, because I said I lost my tarot mojo, and I think it was because I was so focused on Marseille. I've really struggled with the situational pips. I mean, I know that Eight of Bells is the only pip in this little 3-card spread. Obviously, the Fool and the Founder or the Emperor are bigger archetypes because they're majors, right? But I realized the reason the last couple of weeks I've been really struggling with this one to pull it for my daily readings, or my daily-ish readings, as Laura had said earlier in the chat there, was that it just doesn't feel right for the season. It's squeeze me. Oh my God, burp-a-rama. Gross, sorry. It's because I just had biscuits and I've got my tea here. I need to make sure it doesn't go cold. But I think because it's very much spring, we had, the spring equinox Ostera at the weekend. So yeah, I just realized that when you compare the very muted autumnal and sort of wintry shades here of this deck, and it's got this sort of sepia background and this sort of wood blocky style, and it's very sort of, it's macabre, which is like totally my jam, obviously. Have you met me? And I have been watching the strains, so it's been fun, like, picking out characters from the strain in this deck and reading what it says in the book and stuff. But yeah, I just realized when I pulled this, it wasn't just I think it was just the explosion of color were just spoke to me. And it's funny because the pouches that I've made for next week's shop update are an explosion of color. There is a literal rainbow of pouches, like every color of the rainbow is there. And there's every color of the rainbow is there. So I think it was a seasonal thing. So choosing a deck, I didn't actively go, oh, I'm going to choose the decks. Actually, I did actively choose the decks that I wanted to use this month. And what did I say? Most times I pick out a bunch of decks to use, and then I always end up using the main one that's on my altar, which has been the Tarot del Toro, which, and I have a little tray, and it either goes on my altar, and if if there's cards laid out on my altar, I put it on the next shelf because it's a little hostess trolley. And then the spread goes at the top, and then this goes on the tray at the bottom, the shelf at the bottom. But yeah, like, what did I say? 9 times out of 10, I end up using the same bloody deck over and over again. I use my Tarot Classic for study. I've been using I'm looking over there because they're next to their journals, which is the Thoth and the Anti-Anatomy. Those I'm not using for readings. They're study decks at the moment. I've got the Druid Craft here, and the Wooden Tarot. But yeah, I've been trying to force myself to use the Tarot del Toro, and then along comes the Luminous, and it's like, hey, friend. Remember me? I mean, I was potty about this deck, and a fun deck to read for my friends, because I can see my friends in it. They can see themselves in it. So sometimes decks choose you, right? So there's me with my little case of decks that I'm going to use in March. And then I'm like, end up just using the one. I don't know if it's just convenience because this is there. Like, the bloody case is literally just in front of my altar. It's not like it's hard work just to open it up and get a deck out. But I think I'm just I just get stuck in this little habit of, I don't know. But yeah, this deck is like, hey, friend, remember me? Wanna work with me something more again? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do. So I guess I'm going to be using the Numinous Tarot for well, however long. I don't want to put a time limit on it. It's so funny because we divide it, like for the month of March I will be using this, and for the month of April I'll be using these, and it's like, but months are like made up human things, and sometimes, you know, your mood or your just, you know, your lifestyle or what's going on in your life at the moment just doesn't fit in those little fixed narratives of this is March and we're going to do March such and such deck and this oracle. And yeah, like I said, sometimes a deck will pick you, because I've had all these decks out on my table and I've been playing with them and shuffling them, and I'll sit and watch. Sometimes I'll sit on my bed of an evening, and before my husband finishes work, I will finish for the day. I do my offerings and little meditation or whatever I'm doing at my altar, and get my gym jams on, and I'll put my laptop on my bed and I'll sit and watch an episode of The Strain. That's what I've been watching. And I will sit with a deck. I'll grab a deck or two off of my desk at the moment because they're all over there, and I will shuffle. But this was the first time out of all the decks that I was shuffling where it was like, hey you, oi, read with me. Which is weird. So yeah, the deck chose me. Does anyone else have experiences like that? Let's just go up and have a look in the chat, because I'm aware there's a few of you in now. There's 20 of you in, and because I have a tendency to look and then get distracted in my train of thought, and I've just remembered I've written a note here to talk about, and I'm already, wow, how long have I been going? I've been going nearly 27 minutes, and I wanted to keep this shorter so as not to bore everyone's pants off. So let me get up to date. Kristen Smith's here. Hello. We've got, I see Jamie and Deanne, Marsha, Robin. Sheer luck that I happened to notice you on today. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you, Robin. That's very sweet of you to say. I saw Stephanie and got overexcited, as I want to do. I don't think people could possibly hate your pouches, says Stephanie. Oh, bless you. Thank you. I don't know. There's probably some people they're not for everyone. That's the thing, right? And that's okay, because some people prefer like drawstring bags, and I've got drawstring bags. Like, I really like the ones that Jess Roller of Coffee with the Fool, she makes amazing patchwork pouches and cases for decks, and she's the creator of the Squid Cake Marseille and the Monster Lenormand, which is my Lenormand for the month. And I just love her. I'm a massive Jess Roller fan. She's been teaming up with Jamie Sawyer with regards to like getting tiles made of her decks, and like little trays and things for putting spreads on. And then she's also she's had fabric printed up from her own artwork, her own designs, and then incorporated them into her pouches. Let me see if I can find a link, because I really love her pouches. And she's really smart because she uses a really nice sort of like jute or twine drawstring. So what that does is it creates tension. It grips to the cotton that she uses, and it keeps the pouch closed, because some drawstring pouches can slowly sort of eke open over time if the ribbon or the cord is a bit too slippy against the silky fabric or the lining of the pouch. So I'm just going into my other Coffee with the Fool. Let's see if I can find Jess's shop, because I know that she did a drop of pouches yesterday. They may be already sold. Oh no, she's got one left. She said she was doing 3 of each design. It looks like there's one left. So I'm going to pop that in there, because I really love her stuff. They're so beautifully made. I just love her artwork, her decks, her blog, everything. Good stuff. Haven't used this deck in ages. Is that the Numinous, Jamie? I got the Founder in that deck last week too. Love the Numinous. That's what I was thinking. It is a great Emperor, Stephanie. Such a I just love it. I just love the whole deck. The whole deck is just pure joy to me. Yeah, that's a good point, Laura. The entire guidebook is gender neutral as well, and we'll give you there's some spreads in here. So they're based on the suits, the renaming of the suits. So you have the bells, which are swords, you have the tomes, which are pentacles, you have the candles, which are wands, and then you have the vials, which are cups. So everything's renamed. It can get your head, it can be tricky to get your head around it. Even now, like if I haven't used it for a while, which is what I haven't for a while, I have to remind myself what the courts are as well, because there's like dreamers, explorers, creators, and mystics, I think it is, for the, let's have a look, I'll just check if I'm right. Yeah, I was right. So it's the dreamer, which would be the page, the explorer is the knight, the creator is the queen, which would originally be the queen, and the mystic is the king. But of course they're gender neutral terms, and you know, people of any and all or no genders are used in for those court cards as well. Really, really amazing deck. I have recommended it to people starting to get into tarot who are trans and really don't want any sort of like potentially triggering. And I know some people may have a problem with that, it being changed, but if it's going to you know, help someone learn the tarot without it feeling, you know, and I'm not trans, I'm a cis woman, and I still prefer the gender neutral terms. I find the whole idea of masculine and feminine energy problematic. Because people go, well, masculine energy is, I mean, Laura, I know Aquamarine, like 18, you've seen me go on about this before. You've gone on about it before as well. We've had this conversation in live chats as well, right? Like, then people go, well, masculine is more forceful and energetic and blah, blah, blah. And that the feminine energy is more nurturing and gentle and inward. And it doesn't mean that it's actually a man or a woman. It's just that it's like, well, just say fucking energetic and nurturing then. Why attach a bloody gender to it? So stupid, in my opinion. But yeah, so this one, a couple of trans friends have very much enjoyed, but have then gone on to, one of my friends has then gone on to buy a Centennial Smith-Waite to study with as well, but for them to predominantly be reading with themselves and for their friends, have preferred this even with the name changes. Because if this is your first deck, because a lot of people say, well, if you're a beginner, you need to get, you know, the Smith-Waite or whatever, pick a system and pick the basic version. But I mean, my first ever deck was the Osho Zen, and that's all renamed, and I had no idea what bloody Rider-Waite-Smith was back in 1997. So, you know, and that was my only deck for several years, so, and it was fine. I still learned to read it. It wasn't a problem. And then once I learned about Smith-Waite, I could see the parallels and the similarities, and I could see where they deviated slightly. And I did a bit of a video about it for Tarathon a couple of years ago, talking about, you know, the similarities of the deck. So yeah. I'm struggling with the crumbliest scone I've ever eaten. More crumbs are ending up on my plate than in my mouth. Are scones supposed to be this dry and crumbly? Even with tea, mouth is like a desert. Robin, is it like an American scone or a British scone? Because British scones are the round ones, right? Americans call scones like those weird, like, I don't know, they're not what we call scones. But you need like a good slathering of spread or butter, you want some jam, you want some cream, whichever way around you do that is up to you. I don't want to start a fight in the comments. But either way, yeah, get something on it. You don't eat it on its own, lovely. Tara just crossing fingers I don't get customs charge. Oh god, you added on so much. Oh, is that with all the other stuff that James Eads was putting in, like the coins and stuff, Laura? I saw Jen's Balanced Tarot do an unboxing of her one, and I was like, wow, that is quite the haul. It was pretty impressive. I'd almost rather toss it in the tea and eat it with a spoon like soup, but like one giant crouton, Robin. Glossier, you're finding glossier cards cheerier. I think as people choose glossier cards because the colors show up better, and it's really lovely cardstock. Like, it's really flexible, it shuffles really, really nicely. The gilding's held up really great, because although I haven't read with it as much in the last year, especially as this was like my friend's deck, and what have I not been doing in the last year, like most of us? Not been hanging out with cafes or friends' houses or pubs. So but before that, it was getting a good fair whack use, and it's got a bit of a riffle shuffles bend. I was trying to riffle shuffle it the opposite direction, and now it goes like it's got a bit of a wobble to it from last night. I'm like, maybe I should stick to just riffle shuffling it one way. I was like, could I straighten it out by riffle shuffling it the other way? No, you can't straighten it out. You'll just make it. You can't really. You're not gonna be able to see it in the camera, but looking up close, it's got a little bit of a. It goes down and then up and then down. I'm like, oh god, what have I done? But yeah, it's held. I think it's held up pretty well. Like you can, when I turn it, you can see the whiteness, the patches where it's worn. But for the most part, it's really shiny, right? Still, so I can't remember when I had how long I've had this. When was it printed? I bought it off of Riddle Red Raro, Little Red Tarot. You can see where I am because I'm rereading the guidebook on and off. Got to have those highlighting bits, right? That's why I need a physical book. When was this first printed? Because I think I got one of the first. Is it the first? 2018. So I've had it 3 years. Yeah, because I got it once as soon as. Well, I'm having that. Before the depth year, I just cleaned my deck shelves, took everything off, dusted, reorganized it. It felt like a good spring equinox week project. Now I'm reading with the Luminous Void. Oh, lovely. Very nice. I just pre-ordered Benabelle's latest deck. Says Jamie, can we get a preview, please? What's that for, Jamie, love? Blue, I got most things. None of the older decks. Didn't get the notebooks. Oh, that's cool. Don't have the light vision Sonic. Got that. Prisma. Hello, Orshi. You're right, my dear. Will you please let us know about your next shop update? It will be at the same time again. It will be 4 p.m. UK time, Monday, the 29th of March. You're never boring, says Deanne. Oh, I don't know. I think some of my family and friends will disagree. Oh, I do. Meow, meow, meow. Just see so bags are cute, but I don't like that cards aren't flat against the bottom. Yeah, that's the thing. But with Jess Roller's bags, I don't have it. It's away in the box, and it would just take me ages to pick everything out. But the way Jess Roller does her drawstring pouches is they have a flat bottom and then the thingy, so you can stand them up. I mean, the reason I started making these, I made the first ones of these I made were for myself. It was purely like I had a couple of decks where they either came just shrink wrapped, so they had come from like a print on demand site, and some of them just come shrink wrapped, or the box was just trash, just the tuck box. And I was like, I'm using this deck all the time. The tuck box is trashed, and if I'm taking it out in my bag during the day and using it for it gets all, and that's part of the reason the boxes were getting trashed, because they were dinging about in my handbag or my backpack. So I was like, okay, well, I will make a pouch. And it was also because I trimmed my Tarot of the Magical Forest, and because it was smaller, obviously, because it's been trimmed, and it would rattle around inside its box. So then what I used to store my decks in, I'm seeing if I've got one to hand, but I don't, is in like a little silky headscarf or a bandana. And so I put the deck in the corner. There's pictures going way back on my Instagram of my 5 deck collection or 6 deck collection, and they're all wrapped up in little silk scarves and bandanas. And I would wrap them up, like that Japanese art of gift wrapping. There's a specific name for it. I can't remember off the top of my head. And hang on, let me see, it's going to bug me. It's Japanese gift wrapping, Japanese fabric wrapping name. Furoshiki. So I would sort of wrap them in a furoshiki kind of way. But, and it was great because at the time it would be like, I would, unwrap it, and then you've got the cloth, and it's also the home for the deck. So it's like, this is brilliant. But as my deck collection grew, I noticed that, first of all, I didn't always know which deck was inside each scarf. So you know, I tried to pick things that matched, but, you know, then I was like, well, I've run out of scarves. Do I have to start buying scarves? But also when I tried to stack them, because of the way that I wrap them and you tie the little knot to keep them closed like a little bundle, you can't stack them because the knots get in the way. So this is a very long-winded bloody way of me telling you this. Is this okay? Is this boring? So what I did was I made a pouch. This isn't the pouch I made. This is one of my latest ones for myself. This is my Antique Anatomy with the little skull on because of all the bones in the deck, obviously. And and what I discovered was I could customize it to suit the deck that's inside. So I know this is the Antique Anatomy. I know I made this all the colors of the Tarot Classic. So it's got, well, not all of the colors, but it's got the red and the gold and the cream of the back is that bit. And then it's got a yellow and an aqua green that you can see on the outside. So I make them to match, right? So for me, I was like, well, I know what's in there because, well, first of all, I've made it to fit the specific deck, and I've made it in the colors and the charm that associates. And then I made one for Simon at the Hermit's Cave because I trimmed and edged his magical forest and I sent it back to him in a pouch. And I made one for Tom Benjamin for his first edition of the Marshmallow because the box was trashed, and I was like, oh honey, no, let me send you a pouch. And these ones were so rubbish, right? It wasn't until last year I finally remade the pouch, all of the original pouches. So I remade my pouch for my magical forest because it was trash. It was one layer of felt. The stitching was so bad, which is funny because I'm a sewer, right? But for some reason I hadn't done hand stitching in quite a while when I made the pouch. I've been doing machine sewing, but not embroidery and stuff. I've had quite a break from it. I think I've still got my original one in here somewhere. Let me see if I've got see if it's in here. I don't know. Oh, so yeah, there's my original single layer pouch for my Line Strider tarot. It's at the stitches are really far apart and absolute bobbins. And there it is. There's the original fluffed up Tower of the Magical Forest, and I made it different. So there was a back panel, a front panel, and a strip joining it together so that it would hug, because I drew around the deck because the deck's got really wide corner. I used a really large corner rounder, so it was all chunky and soft and squishy and round like the little creatures in the deck. But oh my god, this strip sewing this on, that is a pain in the tits, let me tell you. So I came up with a one-piece version, which is, and then I did this version, which was one piece and then two separate little things to sew in. That was also a pain in the tits. And then I came up with I didn't come up with it. Loads of people know how to make a one-piece cube or rectangle or whatever, right? 3D shape. I did not create geometry, obviously. But yeah, and then last year I finally remade them, but that's how it happened, right? So my Etsy shop I'd already opened and was selling some, or trying to sell accessories and things, but then everyone was like, make the pouches, I'll buy them, and it just went from there. Why am I talking about this? Oh, that's why, because what I love about these is this, right? They stack. You can put them on a bookshelf, or you can stack them like this, and you can put them in your bag, and they don't, unlike a drawstring bag, when I was putting my decks in drawstring bags in my handbag or whatever, they were getting all jiggled about still. This stopped it. Basically, I wanted to protect my decks that didn't have a box, or the box was smashed up, or they were too small for the box now, and I also didn't want them to get dinged about in my bag. That is basically the reason. Now I'm hyping myself up, but literally that is why I like them, is that I could stack them up. Jeebus. Anyway, wow. How long have I been on? 45 minutes. Well, this is already overrun. Oh, yeah, that was not... Can't waste it though, right? So anyway, as I'd had that, actually, let's just go quickly through the blinking chat, because I know I'm probably going to go on another side quest, but let's see. It's a K-Bear Life, says Candy. Just cleaning my car and just finished going to make a drink and have a sit down. Oh, welcome. Oh, 5 inches deep in mud and woodland finds and dog hair. Oof, dog hair. I can relate to that one. Masculine, feminine energies. And I talked about this in a recent interview with Manuela at Place of Stillness. Yeah, I haven't watched that one yet, Laura. Those conversations tend to adopt patriarchy's definitions. Exactly. And then people try to get around it, but going, but everyone has masculine and feminine inside of them. By they mean forceful and strong and nurturing and gentle. And I'm like, just call them what they are. Everyone has those qualities. They don't have to have fucking gender attached to them. Osho Zen. Yeah, I know you recently got that. I saw you getting into that, Candy. I got the Wild Wolf Tarot, and the suits are renamed. It takes some getting used to, but I picked up on it really quickly. Yes, some of them are just sort of quite intuitive with the changes. So I think people should pick a deck as their first that they like the artwork of. That's all. I agree, Orshi. 100%. I do think it helps. Like, my understanding of tarot increased exponentially once I knew what the systems were. But having a Smith-Waite based deck, I have got the Smith-Waite Centennial, really helped. But I think the deck that you want to like read with and learn with, you have to like it. Like, there's no point in you like laying out cards and going, oh, I hate all this artwork is making like you don't. If it repels you, like, no, like, you need a different deck. Because I think sometimes people look at tarot decks and they don't like the artwork and they get put off of learning tarot. But there are so many decks now, so many. There's got to be something for everyone. There's some like really niche ones. There's like, just, yeah, from all eras, from all viewpoints and perspectives. It's getting more and more sort of representational and diverse, slowly. So yeah. They're so very hard to unravel. This must be the gender norms, because those categories are imposed on so many things in society. It's really a pervasive way of thinking and hard to get out of. Exactly, Laura. It's like having like women having internalized misogyny as well, or like, yeah, it goes, it's systemic, right? It's societal. Satya merging, just see me go live. Hey. Or Deanne says, I didn't do that really, because the first 3 I got were at the bookstore and I just went with the best options, but I didn't know about the vast options available online. Yeah, I mean, when I first got my Osho Zen, I went into a little esoteric esoteric shop. It's not just a bookshop. It did have a separate bookshop section next door, but Mysteries in Covent Garden. And you know, they still had quite a selection compared to anywhere I'd ever seen. And this was back when Borders was a thing as well. Do you remember Borders? R.I.P. I miss Borders. And yeah, I just sort of bought the one that was appealing to me, and I just dove straight in, basically. UK turns the clocks this weekend, so we'll be back to 5 hours time difference. Yes, Jamie. So East Coast will be back to 5 hours. West Coast will be back to 8 hours. And whoever's in the middle, you know, the little bit in the middle, just beware for times. What kind of cards are you talking about? Just tarot cards, just in general. I have a friend who wraps gifts in furoshiki style. Yeah, it's nice. It's a really nice way to use like last little odds and ends of fabric as well. Or because I used to collect. I used to always wear like a bandana scarf thing in my hair, because I used to have like a short Marilyn Monroe haircut for a really, really long time, and I was like platinum blonde. And then it was pink, and then it was blue. But what I would do is I'd pin curl my hair, and then I would wash and pin curl my hair on a Thursday evening, and then I would tie I'd put like a little hairnet and a little like either a cotton bandana or a silky scarf on, and I would sleep with that so it didn't wreck the pin curls. And then the next day on Friday I would go to work, because I would do it with my hair damp, so I'd allow my hair to dry out throughout the day, go to work, but it looks like you've done something really cool with your hair because you've got like the little retro boop over your head. And then, you know, Friday party time, I'd get home, shove some food in my mouth, have a drink, and get my hair and makeup done, brush out all my curls, and then I would have all my curls for like the following week. And on I remember on a Sunday, I would repin my curls roughly so they'd be fresh for Monday. But yeah, I used to literally do retro style wash and set my hair once a week. So I had loads of scarves. And eventually I stopped wearing a lot of that style, and I got a pixie crop. So I wasn't using all these scarves. So that's what I would do. I would wrap friends that I knew who would like the scarf and whose style I thought would suit them. I would wrap their presents in the scarf. So that's also why I didn't have so many when I started building my deck collection, because I had gotten rid of a lot of them. I do crafting while I watch, not boring. Watch Dolly dress ups to craft as well. I have lots of hobbies. Yeah, having lots of hobbies is it's fun, but also sometimes it's hard work. I'm like, why do I like so many things? I don't make life easy for myself. Hello, Hanny. You're right, my dear. Did you get your message saying that your pouch is on its way to you? Oh, Dirty Varmint, how do you play tarot? Are you talking about tarocchi, actually, the old Renaissance Italian game? I've never played it. I would be interested to play proper, like, Italian old school tarocchi. That would be cool, right? Never looked into it. Someone must know how to play it. The first one came with the course I took and I didn't like it, so I bought the Light Seers. What was the first, what was the deck that came with your course you bought, Orshi? When did Neem? Yeah, where's Neem? Oh, there we go. Hello. You've got your bags already, Neem. Oh, I'm so pleased. I was checking yesterday morning what was happening with the deliveries, and for a bunch of the US ones, it was saying that they were at the sorting office. And then, yeah, there was couples of them, like one for Australia. It was leaving the UK yesterday, so it sat in the UK for a week. Please believe us, Kelly, when we tell you that we never find you boring. Someone must find me boring. But that's what I was saying. Also, these pouches are obviously not for everyone. Some people will prefer a drawstring. Some people will prefer a wooden box. Some people will prefer tins. I know people are really into the tins with the printed artwork on the front from Make Playing Cards. Some people really like the sort of card ones, like the Dustin of Modern Metaphysicae had been making. He's having a break from that at the moment, I know. But so, and you know, that's fine. Like I've got, you know, drawstring pouches, and like I said, I've used scarves before. I've got some decks in wooden boxes. I've got some. I'm looking around to seeing what, you know, like the wooden box of tarot up there. I've got my custom printed deck that I curated. It's raining. Oh no! They said it wasn't going to rain today. Sorry, my cushion keeps moving. But yeah, this is the box that I made for my custom printed lowbrow pop surrealist art deck. I put leopard print, pink leopard print, and then I covered it in glitter because more is more. I saw a really great quote last week on Twitter, which was, sometimes when I'm about to leave the house, and I look at myself in the mirror, I remember that Coco Chanel was a literal Nazi, and then I add an extra accessory. And I love that. And for anyone that doesn't know the context of that, Coco Chanel, who was a literal Nazi, used to say, before you leave the house, check yourself over in the mirror and then remove one item like an accessory, because you never want to look overdressed. But I say, fuck that, more is more. Also, fuck Nazis. Not literally, like, as in, like, they can fuck off. Don't actually sleep with Nazis, because Nazis. So yeah, my first Kelly pouch is in the mail. Exciting to see what deck will go in. Oh yeah, I'm interested to know what will go in there. Meow, 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 meow. Yesterday, and given that times the way other post was fast, so, yeah, I'm really surprised. I made bags for my first 10-ish decks, then gave up. Too many decks, I can't really store them like that. Yeah, it can get really tricky, especially if you have I can't believe I still don't have your bags. Oh, Jamie, I've got another update. I've got 12 more pouches. I sewed 12 pouches this week. And the only reason I'm not sewing today is because I was finishing them off, and then I have to photograph. That's the thing. It's not just the sewing the pouches. You have to photograph them, video them, create the listings, do all the promotional material. It's like a whole thing. And then I want to make the earrings and stuff as well. So I want to have other stuff. I love the colour for the Antique Anatomy. Yeah, the burgundy. I don't have. That's the thing, because that was the last of my fabric, and some of those were little sample pieces of the recycled felt. So pretty much all my pouches going forward will be made from the Kunin recycled felt, which I think they're 80 or 90% recycled plastics, which is way more up my street. So, and they come in like 50 different shades, way more than the other felt. So there's going to be colours that I've never made pouches in before. I'm really excited. So that V-shaped pillow has me so intrigued as to how white men use it. I'm conjuring geometric reconfigured sleeping habits. Do you know what people always ask about the pillow? Some people think it's like a love angles pillow, you know, like for like sexual positions. It's nothing as exciting as that, although those love angle pillows look really cool. It's actually, yeah, it's memory foam. And I've spoken about this in live videos before because people ask about it, but I'll just do a quick. It's basically a few years ago, my husband had open heart surgery. And when he came home after a week in hospital, he had to sleep sitting up to keep his heart up, to allow for blood flow and all that kind of stuff. But also because he'd had his sternum cracked open and, you know, his ribs opened, all that scary stuff. He couldn't have his shoulders back because it would pull. So he had to have something that he could sit up with. So we'd prop him up on a couple of pillows, as you can see there, and then put the pillow up. And then because it's a V, it would sort of hold his head, and then his shoulders would sit a little bit in the V and pull his chest forward a little bit, so it wasn't pulling on the stitches, and the rib cage the sternum could knit back together. So it was a pretty fucking hardcore time. It was pretty scary, but yeah, like it's basically helped him in his recovery. And obviously we're not just going to throw it away, but sometimes it's really nice. Like if I have a daytime nap, I really like to just wedge it like this. I sleep with it like this, and it supports me either side, and it's really cut, and it's like, and I can hug this. It's really nice when I have my little daytime naps. So yeah. Whoop, shit. My chair nearly slid up from underneath me. Oh dear God, nearly went arse over tit live. Would you expect anything else from me? Let's be honest. Aidan darling, hey Kelly Bear, hope you're doing well. I'm just getting home after working my graveyard shift. Oh my goodness, are you? Oh no, because hang on, it's early in the day for you. Goodness me, that sounds, graveyard shift sounds pretty like hardcore though. It's that it's named the graveyard shift. I know it's why it's named that, but I like that it's named that. The new edition of Tarotbot has borders. You can have them. Oh, is that the Tarotbot? Oh, there are issues with that Tarotbot dude, by the way. Just FYI. Michael, is that one? Yeah. That creator had posted on Twitter some really not great stuff. Just FYI, as far as I know. So yeah. When are those 12? Hang on. When are those 12 pouches going up on the shop? Asking for my best friend. I am my own best friend. The same time, 4 p.m. UK time, Monday 29th. Are there any Kickstarters for tarot decks you recommend to invest in? Are you talking to me, Aidan? Because I haven't been looking at Kickstarter. I'm good for decks at the moment. Do you know what? It's funny. Most of the decks that are on my list, which is very, very small, are mass market. And all of the decks that I have been, like, you know, my Thoth is a mass market. My Tarot del Toro is a mass market. My Antique Anatomy is a mass market. You know, the only one that isn't, that I've been using like really regularly, is my Tarot Classic, which is a vintage deck. But that's, you know, mostly for my tarot study. It's funny. I have to stalk your shop, it seems. You keep missing out on pouches. I mean, yeah, I'm really sorry. I feel really bad for people that haven't been able to make your own fucking sandwich, dirty varmint. For that, you don't. We don't fly with stupid sexist bullshit here, and obviously they were hoping to get a rise, but now they're gone. Bye. Don't miss you. Wow, this... the first tarot deck that really sucked me in was Shadowscapes. Yeah, I love the Shadowscapes, but it's too small for me. I wish they would release the 10-year anniversary, I think, was last year. like a 10-year anniversary in a slightly larger size would be, and like gilded, would be really nice. Or laid out like a starfish. My mother is a one deck person, Marseille, but it didn't appeal to me. Once I discovered the Rider-Waite-Smith, it changed. Crystal Unicorn was my first Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but I was inspired by the Edward Gorey. The Edward Gorey decks were really cool. I don't have it, but it's definitely my kind of thing. I've got the Crystal Unicorn, and I know where it is because I've been using it for photos. Actually, I need to yeah, it's really, it's just such a little joyful deck, isn't it? I really like the backs as well because they're reversible, but they've got this like carnival, but pastel circus type vibe. And you know, I'm not really, it's really funny because I'm not massively into crystals and I'm not massively into unicorns. But my god, this deck is just, it's so cute. Their little faces. It's basically a Smith-Waite, but make it unicorns. It's a joy. It is a joy. My first deck was a reprint of the Kazan La tarot. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I apologize, Orshi. Kazan La tarot. I've not heard of that before. Let's have a look. Kazan La tarot. Kazan La tarot. Oh no, I think I have seen pictures of this one. Yeah, I have seen pictures of it. Yeah. Cool. Wow. My first deck was my tarot of the Crone has been at the post office facility since January the 4th. In the UK, it's been in the UK post office, Candy, because that's just unacceptable, quite frankly, isn't it? What are they doing with it? Yeah, I've got the Tarot of the Crone. It's very much a winter deck for me. I'm sad for you, but sort of happy to hear of another delay. I shipped things January 28th and they are stuck somewhere. Not quite for yet. Dang. Is that you, Fitz? I'm a bit late to this one. That's all right. It's lovely to have you in at all, Fitz. So yeah, and I hope Lil enjoyed her birthday. Because it was your birthdays are really close together, aren't they, Fitz? It was your birthday. I remember wishing you happy birthday, and then Lil, was her 40th as well. So I'm only a couple of months older than Lil. Candy, lol, don't sleep with my no, it's just my whole day's plans, right? Sorry, Candy, but I'm just gonna have to ask you to abstain from that plan. Why is Jamie time to call the vet? What's going on, Jamie? I hope your fur babies are okay. It's nothing too serious. Are there any? Oh, that's for the Kickstarters one. But other people, if anyone else has any recommendations for Kickstarters they've backed, I did see on the Hermit's Cave someone had posted a link to an illustrated Pip Marseille style deck, which did look really cool, I have to admit. But I am not buying any unless it's on my very short list. I'm not purchasing. And like I said, I'm getting rid of decks. I've already gotten rid of 3 decks so far since the last couple of weeks. The bags are going up Monday saying, oh, thank you, Laura. I got one of the last batch. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's what really warms my heart. It's really lovely to see that my patch is sold out in less than 5 minutes on Monday. Last week it was 20 minutes, just under 20 minutes. This week it was just under 5 minutes. I do think that was a big chunk of that was to do with the lovely Simon at the Hermit's Cave doing that live preview or live walkthrough of all his Kelly Bear pouches. I thought he was going to show the first one and unwrap the most recent one that he had bought. I didn't realize so I thought it was going to be like a 5-10 minute video, and he rocks up with all the sodding pouches. I'm like, oh god. And there's me sitting there in the chat, and then I'm like, this feels very, very self-indulgent sitting here in a chat. And because I'm there, then I feel like, well, no one was gonna, like, people can't talk honestly about them, maybe, because some people might like, well, these pouches are rubbish. You know, I don't think they're rubbish. They might not be to someone's taste, but it felt it was like 50 minutes of like pure like Kelly Bear pouch talk, and I was like, oh no, this is more than I thought it was going to be. But I do think that contributed to the less than 5 minutes shop empty, because I had 11 or 12 pouches go up last week and I only had 10 this week. But yeah, that was something else. Really, really, goodness. Hang on. What sort of issues with Tarot? Anyone can enlighten me. Yeah, what Aquamarine 18 said, basically. Yeah, I saw that, Laura, because I know that you'd got it. Yeah, it's a real shame, Orshi, but you know, it's personal choice. Like I obviously, I don't want to support problematic deck creators, and obviously you have to make your own judgment call. I just find it like sullies the deck a bit. Oh, it's so, yeah, Pixie Jasmine, hello. That's a shame. Disappointing to learn. People can be disappointing. We can all be disappointing. I'm sure I will be disappointing to you lot at some point, or have been in the past. You know, we're not all perfect, but there's disappointing, and then there's like absolute dickhole, right? I'm pretty sure I've been an absolute dickhole at some point as well. We all have our moments, right? Wandering Mountain Bloodic Path, hello, lovely to see you. I never really got into Twitter. I can barely wrap my head around TikTok. I cannot with TikTok. I like it when people share TikToks on Twitter, and I've actually ended up following people on Twitter that are on TikTok, but they also share their TikToks on their Twitter feed. I'm massively into Twitter. The thing that I like about Twitter is that it's much more like, to me, Facebook is for family and friends and acquaintances, and like for the most part, and for I was gonna say comrades for colleagues and the like. So I keep my I keep my Facebook, like I'll be in groups. I'm in a number of groups, but my actual friends list is family and friends, whereas Twitter is a free-for-all. And yeah, it can feel a bit like shouting out into the void, but it's also really like, it's usually quicker at getting news to you than the news, and it's unfiltered. So you get independent journalists and independent news companies that are not beholden to, you know, even like our BBC, which now has a new director who, you know, contributed nearly £500,000 to the Tory party. So he's not, the BBC is meant to be impartial, and it's gradually become less and less impartial over the years. And now all bets are off now that there's a bloody like Tory on the, in charge. But yeah, and the good thing, like the thing that I find really good also about Twitter is you're getting news on the ground as it happens from people who are there. So for example, when stuff was kicking off with the riots last year, with the Black Lives Matter riots, there were loads of people that were watching the news, but the news is filtered, especially in the US, right? It's filtered through a certain filter depending on which channel you're looking at. But there were actual protesters and people that were there for like first aid, journalists, independent journalists, regular journalists, protesters, people that were there, you know, food, all sorts of things, who were filming as it happened and throwing it up on Twitter to prove what was going on. So people going, this is going on and this is going on, and then they were not showing the half of it that was what was actually happening, and they couldn't deny it because it was there. And you had several people that was in the vicinity filming the same incident on their phones, people that don't even know each other, and you could see it from different angles, like depending on where they were stood. There were actual like proper recognized journalists being attacked by police and maced and pepper sprayed and tear gassed, whatever it was, and rubber bullets. Like, it was awful. And people going, that's not happening. I'm like, you can I saved and shared a thread where this one person, he was sharing he was collating all the videos so you could see what was happening, and that's within they can like film it, up it goes, right? So I like Twitter for that as well, because you're getting it as it happens. And that's how I saw the vigil that happened in the UK a couple of weeks ago that the police rocked up to, and it turned a bit violent, and they were sort of pinning women to the ground after a woman was allegedly murdered by one of their own. I have to say allegedly for legal reasons, because we don't want to compromise the trial. You know, it was so tone deaf, and they were like, oh, well, they were causing trouble. You literally have footage of people with their dogs and their babies. It was a quiet vigil. The police rock up. These people were all socially distanced. The police rock up, kettle people in, and then start pushing people and getting violent. I'm like, wow. Yeah, and you're like, you're so stupid. This is all, people are filming this on their phones and putting it on Twitter for everyone to see, you know, but then it doesn't get reported. So that's why I think Twitter has an important role in that sense. It can also be absolute, like, awful and trollish and whatever, but it's the same with anything. You put the TV on, you get some like trash show, and then you get like really, really top-notch drama. Like, same with any medium, right? Don't blame the medium. It's the, you know, use it accordingly. Anyway, it makes me happy. Crystal unicorns, good vibes on paper. It is, it is. A lily stone, but I haven't had the stone Visconti. The stone Visconti looks really nice. Illustrated TADM, I can't remember what it's called. Work came in, gotta go. Bye, Orshi. Transient Light is my Kickstarter recommendation. Matt Wisner, fully funded, and he has a YouTube channel. Gender non-conforming, I think that is, isn't that DM? Non-conforming courts, UK creator, and he seems lovely. I have his Trinity Tarot. So it's the Transient Light. I'll have to have a look. So yeah. I backed Queer Lenormand. There's a Queer Lenormand? What? Hang on, what? That would be amazing, right? Because like that video that you made, Laura, about like learning Lenormand, because there's similar issues I came up against as well. Oh God. Oh, sorry, my nose is itchy and running. I think it's allergies coming in. It's spring's coming in. I'm just gonna have to rub my nose. Sorry. Gross. Gender bin conforming. I knew what you meant. My son's work for USPS, and I rant to him constantly. Where's my Dex son? As if he knows every postal worker. I think you really put love into what you make, though. You're a really great. Oh, thank you, Aidan. That's very kind of you to say. Mubin Qureshi, hello. I really like Twitter for the freedom of information, for sure. Yeah, that's the thing. It feels like a freedom of information. I blather too much for Twitter, says Robin, and I feel stifled by the character limit. But with limitation becomes creativity, no, Robin? I follow quite a few organisations on YouTube, like TYT, the Young Turks, yeah, and I believe they're funded by their followers, which I like. Yeah, me too. YouTube is the only social app thing that I do, and sometimes even this is a bit too much for me to handle. Yeah. Lenormand has 8 days to go on Kickstarter. It's kind of pop art style, bright colours. It's great. So is it literally called Queer Lenormand? Because I'll look that up. Let me write a note. Anyway, I still haven't got, it's been it's been nearly an hour since I wrote this note. I need to do this, and then, because see, this is what happens. I start reading the comments and it goes into side quests. Queer Lenormand, let's look at that. Queer Lenny, let's call it for short. Okay, so the thing that I wrote down was, a few years ago, there was a witchy tarot YouTuber that did a video that was about witches who do not witch when the chips are down, right? And by chips are down, I think they meant when someone is in a bad place, like their bad headspace, or things are going really badly for them. And I watched, it was a creator that I enjoy watching, but they were talking about people saying, that they're depressed or they're anxious and they're not using. And this witch was saying, well, use your witchcraft to help you. You're a witch. Like, you can help your depression by using witchcraft. And I was just like, as someone who suffers with anxiety and depression, has been medicated for both, like, it's really, really not as simple as that. Like, if you are and obviously it manifests differently for different people, and there are different severities of, anxiety and depression, and different kinds of anxiety. So I have generalized anxiety, but also get a lot of health anxiety. It's easier said than done. We'll just witch your way out of it. But if you are in such a bad space that you cannot even get out of bed, that you cannot even brush your teeth, feed yourself, water yourself, get washed, like clean yourself, like try. The idea of like witching yourself out of something is just as bad as saying, well, pray yourself out of something, or you know what I mean? They are tools to help you in life. Magic is there to help you in life. Meditation is there to help you in life. But like, when I'm in such an anxiety pit, I cannot read tarot for myself. I cannot still my mind enough to meditate. I know myself well enough. I've been meditating on and off for over how old am I? For almost 25 years. Like, I know what I can and can't do, and when I need to just, and there comes a point where you start to beat yourself up because you're going, oh, well, I haven't meditated today, or I haven't done such and such today, or I haven't sat at my altar today. And then it feeds into that anxiety or that depression. So what is important, I think, then is to go, do you know what? It's okay. Let's put that aside and focus on what we can do, right? And it's just, I just think it's really unhelpful when people say, oh, well, just witch yourself out of something. It's like saying to a depressed person, oh, just cheer yourself up. Why don't you just smile? Smiling has been proven to, if you, once you lift the muscles in your mouth, it's like, it's not, it's just, it's literally your brain chemistry. Your brain is not producing enough of, or the right amount of, the right amount, or even producing certain hormones and chemicals that your brain needs to function. It is a medical condition. It drives me crazy when people are like, oh, you can just think positive thoughts. That kind of like oversimplifying things can lead to more anxiety and more depression, because you're making people think that because they're in a negative mindset and they're in a bad way, that they're manifesting this on themselves. Some things are just shitty. Sometimes brain chemistry is brain chemistry, and saying just witch yourself out of that is not helpful. If someone breaks their leg and they cannot stand up because they have not, you don't just go, just get up and fucking walk. Just get up, you lazy git, and just walk. They cannot. They have a broken leg. They need a cast, and they need a bit of rest, and they need some crutches or a wheelchair. They need the tools and the care in order to help them heal. And just telling them to get up and walk does not help. And the same, it goes for when you are using, when you're telling a depressed person or an anxious person or someone with ADD or ADHD or whatever it is, some neurological divergence, whatever it is, just it does not help. I find it really, really frustrating as someone who suffers with mental health issues and potential sort of neurological divergences. Like, my brain is literally wired a certain way. It's wired differently. And that's just, it's like saying to, I don't know, it's just like saying to someone with that's diabetic, well, just make your body just produce, don't take that insulin. You don't need that insulin. Just think yourself better. I was like, oh God, you wouldn't, well, some people would because they're dickheads, but anyway, so that just made me think of it, because I was saying in February, I was in such an anxiety pit. I'm trying to explain why my brain went there and remembered that video from several years ago that I saw, was because for the month of February, I really struggled to get at my altar. I really struggled to read tarot for myself. I really struggled to meditate, and me beating myself up about it wasn't going to help me. So what I had to do was go, do you know what? Until this certain particular, until I climb myself out of it in whatever way I can, I'm just going to leave those. If I feel like using them, I will. If I don't, I'm not going to beat myself up. And actually, and I know I talk about him a lot, but Aidan Wachter, who wrote 6 Ways and Weaving Fate, they're 2 separate books. The one book is 6 Ways. The second book that he released last year was Weaving Fate. And he talks about, I'm in his Facebook group. He mentioned, I think maybe a month or 2 ago, that he was going to start having a daily meditation practice again, because he hadn't had one for at least a year, maybe a bit longer. So that's someone who is a sorcerer, an occultist, a magical practitioner, someone who writes books, runs a magical thing. He still sits down at his altar and gives offerings and has shrines and does magic and creates sigils and does all that. But he hadn't had a meditation practice for over a year. And he wasn't beating himself up about it. He was like, yeah, I just sort of fell away from it, and now I feel called to it again. If anyone who's watched any videos from Aidan Wachter or listened to any podcasts with him, he is like the most chill. Like, he is so chill. Like, listening to him lowers my blood pressure. He's just so chill about everything. He's like, yeah, now I'm called to it, so I'm going to start, and I'm just going in hard. So he was doing like an hour a day, because he said, I know what I'm like. I have to go in hot and heavy and like really go in for an hour a day, whereas some people need to start small. So for me, whenever I take a break from meditation and want to get back into it, I do 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and 9 times out of 10 I'll end up going longer. But that's why I like things like Headspace or the Calm app or Insight Timer, because it really helps when you haven't been meditating for a long time or you're new to it, for example, to have those apps, right? They really help. So I have Headspace. I've got a friend they've been using Calm since January, and they've been doing that for 10 minutes every day consistently. And they said their mental health, they still have mental health issues that they struggle with, but that they find when issues arise, you find it easier to deal with. And I do notice that with a regular meditation practice, I do find that I do sometimes still get stressed and anxious or overexcited, but when stuff really hits the fan, it just makes you a little bit easier. It makes it easier to cope with, or it can shift things into perspective. But yeah, anyway, let's have another quick look through the chat and then I will sign off because it is lunchtime and I'm pretty hungry. Have you seen the Frida Kahlo tarot? No, I haven't. Is that the one by Gabby Angus West? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But is it Gabby Angus West? Because she did the Bonefire, which I have. I've got the original indie version. So I think it's either, there's been a couple of different ones though, haven't there? Wasn't there one that was printed a while ago? I don't know. So, but I don't know. I don't know. I was trying to look it up, but I don't know. So let's have another look. Squill says, as a witch, what is your favorite? What was that? What is your favorite flesh-eating bacteria? I would say probably necrotizing fasciitis. Oh, that shit nasty, huh? Sometimes you need to take a break from your regular routine. Just because you're a witch doesn't mean you can just jumpstart your mental health from witching away. But that's it, Pixel Jasmine. And this video was very much like, just witch yourself out of it. Just do this. Just get at your altar. Just do it. And it was just like, the whole point when you've got depression is that your brain, like, I think it was very much missing the point that it is a health issue, and it like, just because you can't see the hormonal thing, it's just as a bigger problem as someone having problems with their thyroid. Is that it's something going on with chemicals and the way it functions in your body, and you don't just say to someone with a thyroid problem, just witch your way out of it. And I hate that people use depression especially as a way to just buck up. I'm like, the rage. I think we have to be very careful about making medical claims when we're not medical professionals. Witchcraft is self-care. Yeah, exactly. Witchcraft is self-care, but it is not medical care. If you are depressed, saying just witch yourself out of it, no, you go to a medical professional and you get the help you need. Maybe you need a counselor, maybe you need some medication, maybe some tools in your toolbox to help you cope. But yeah, really, like, if you're deeper than a puddle and you don't say witch your way, those vids piss me off. Yeah, they really piss me off as well. SA says, hello, everyone. First time to join. Hello, you're right. My anxiety put me in hospital with this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, Candy, this is the thing, right? Like, people don't realize that those mental health conditions are usually down to the way your brain is structured and wired, and that a lot of that is to do with your formative years. And I know the brain can be very plastic and remoldable. That takes time and effort and medical help, right? But then there's also a lot of it is your hormones, the chemicals going around in your brain, in your body. And people that has physical manifestations, right? Because your brain is part of that's the thing with mental health. Your brain is in your head, it's in your skull. Mental health is physical health, and one affects the other, right? So when I saw this because I was having quite a lot of panic attacks in February, and there was one point where I was so sure I was going to have to phone an ambulance because I thought I was dying, and I had to remember a quote that I'd seen a friend of mine who also suffers from anxiety that she had tweeted the month before, and it's, you're not dying because you're having a panic attack. It feels no, you're not having a panic attack because you're dying. It feels like you're dying because you're having a panic attack. And I had to keep saying that over and over in my head. It's so tricky, right? Like, I live with chronic illnesses, and stress will trigger, like if I have prolonged, if I overwork myself, if I'm mentally stressed, physical exertion, mental exertion, and stress and anxiety exacerbate and trigger my physical chronic illnesses. So people don't realize that it all has like a knock-on effect, and mental health is physical health. I have taken my stake out of that mental health conversation because there is such a broad spectrum of severity and nuance. As someone with mental health issues, I get so much backlash. Yeah, this is the thing, right? It's just some people, maybe this witch had depression, but it was very, very mild and it was very short term, where some of us have lived with depression since our teen, like our tweens or our teens, right? And it varies in its severity from, like, you know, you can just sort of feel what I said, the black dog is nipping at my heels, and I can notice it, to suicidal ideation. Like it can really run the gamut. So, but I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing better, Candy. It's kind of telling me, it's kind of like saying don't stress out when I'm anxious. It's ridiculous. It suggests I want to be anxious, but I could just choose not to, right, Laura? Like, I'm like, do you think I like being this like stressful chaos goblin? No. It's invalidating to others who cannot witch it away, and I think that is a way to ghost the issues away. Kind of rude. Yeah, and it's also like it's I think it has links with spiritual bypassing as well. The thing that gets me most upset is not being believed when I'm talking about the severity of my mental health. Yeah, there's a big difference between giving some ideas for when someone is having a rough day and saying just do this to resolve anxiety or depression. I'll meditate with the insight timer for a few minutes with one of the nature sounds. Oh my God, there is this one particular like rain sound with music, Laura, that I am obsessed with. It's about 7 minutes long, and I have this like whole visualization that I do, and I just feel so good after it. I'll see if I can find the name of it and I will send it to you. Regina Tara, hello. Hi, Lightning Equus. You all right, Ellie? I also have a problem with someone telling you to manifest something when things are out of reach, either money-wise or feeling-wise. Just like manifest, it doesn't make sense. Exactly, Stephanie. That whole manifestation thing doesn't take into account things like systemic issues, like systemic racism. A lot, people that have grown up, like I grew up working poor. From in a single parent household on social welfare with social housing. There was no way my mum was manifesting fucking anything without the hard work she was putting into just trying to raise 2 girls on her own. Like, it's a very privileged position to take, I think, and it's a lot of spiritual bypassing, and it doesn't take into account social economic background. It doesn't take into account anything to do with maybe people's racial issues, abilities or disabilities, illness, gender, or whether there's some discrimination, whether someone's queer, or you know what I mean. Like it's so multifaceted. We can't just go just manifest. I just have serious problems with that. Manifest, I find, slip into poor bashing or poor blaming. Yeah, it's like it's your fault that you're poor. It's your fault that you're depressed. It's your fault. It's like, just stop victim blaming. It's victim blaming. Yeah. Oh, same creator as the Bonefire, says Candy. Cool. Yes, say I recognized your handle from Japan. Lovely. Actually, I don't quite know how to pronounce your surname. I always say say, but I don't know if that's correct. But you've been such an amazing supporter of my shop. It's been so lovely. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm wearing 2 of the flowers that you sent me as well. There's the third one. I wanted to mix it up with just a plain purple flower as well. But they're the flowers I wear the most these days. I feel really uneasy with some of those paid courses that are all about manifesting. It's easy to take advantage. Yeah, usually lead to paying out more money to teach you to manifest. It's an absolute scam, Stephanie, for sure. My anxiety symptoms are overwhelmingly physical. My neck gets tight. My neck and shoulders are constantly sore. And if you always see me I'm constantly moving because I hold so much tension here and in my lower back. And when I'm so tense, like my neck gets so, when I'm so anxious, my neck goes so tight, like I can't sleep comfortably. I can't move. It's horrible. So I relate to that. Pressure headaches. Yeah, right at the back here, those tension headaches. Unable to work and impacting eyesight. Yeah, really relate to my sympathy and empathy, Laura. I think 2 of those things can get targeted towards those already vulnerable, and it's exploitative of people's desperation. I agree. I've had so many panic attacks like that, Kelly, and have had to do the same, tell myself that I was not having a heart attack, do so. That's the thing, you know, when those kind of panic attacks that are right in the chest, and you get those shooting pains across the chest, and it feels like you can't take a full breath in, and you're like, I'm going to die because I can't breathe. Oh my God, it's let me witch my way out of that physical ailment. You said it's such a fun feel sometimes like it's get rich quick schemes. Yeah, and you know what? You know when people go, this person managed to start their business and now they are turning over such and such. Well, this person managed to pay off their mortgage by such and such. And you do a bit of digging and they either had help from their parents or they already grew up in a middle class or upwards like situation, or they're like straight cis white people, and it's like okay, yeah. Say it. Yay, I said it right. To say I should witch out of it is an insult, isn't it? I witch my way out into coping with the impossible most days, and days it wipes my face. That's the thing. If you can get through the day and just make it through that day, because, you know, I have friends, like I've been in a position where it's like last week I got really low towards the end of last week. Maybe it was like Saturday or Sunday, and then I realized it was hormonal. Hormones lie to you, right? But I was just like, God, life literally, and it is kind of true because I'm a bit of a nihilist in a way. Like, life is literally finding things to distract yourself with until you die. I think I even said this in my live chat on like Friday or Saturday or whenever it was. And like, you know, sometimes it is hard to like literally get through the day. And I've got friends who there were some of those who just didn't make it through the day. And if you could just make it through the day and like get up the next day, and even if you just open your eyes and maybe you can't get out of bed, but you can like maybe read something or listen to a podcast and just distract yourself until that feeling moves on. Like, that's a win, right? Sometimes you just need to just take the wins where you can. It's advice that is dismissive on so many levels. When I had panic attacks and panic anxiety, I found that mechanical yoga breathing, according to a particular count sequence, distracted my mind. Yeah. So on the Headspace app, they actually have emergency an emergency section where it has things for panic attacks, anxiety, in like stuff that's when stuff's really bad, and it has that thing where you follow along to your breathing, which can be really helpful. EFT tapping, exactly. But that's the thing, right? It takes time to develop those tools. So yeah, the breathing, you know, using yogic breathing, pranayama, that kind of thing can be helpful. The finding the senses, like when people say when you're starting to panic, find the 5 sense things to ground yourself. So something you can smell, something you can taste, something you can hear, something you can feel, something you can, what's the other one? The 5 senses, anyway, so to ground you. But it depends on what works for people, because I remember talking about this in a live chat with Queen Orsett. We were talking about anxiety, and some exercises ask you to sit inside your body and ground yourself through that and how your body feels. But for those of us like myself, and there'll be others in the group chat probably, who live with chronic illness and chronic pain, sometimes sitting in your body and feeling it, how it feels, is really uncomfortable and painful. And we actually need something that's going to lift us almost out of our bodies for a short while, so we can gain that space from it and then come back. And once the nervous system has calmed down, that usually helps with the pain. So, you know, different things work for different people. I think sort of blanket people, because, you know, like people say, oh, you suffer with this, have you tried yoga, have you tried this, have you tried this? And I know it comes from a place of trying to help, but, you know, I've lived with these conditions for a very, very long time. I've tried pretty much everything, and I know what works for me and I know what doesn't. And, you know, it's about having those tools, trying stuff out. But sometimes, you know, you're in the middle of a panic attack and you can't fucking remember what your tools are because you're having a panic attack, and you just got to try and like wind it through. You got cognitive behavioral therapy. It made a huge difference in doing the activities myself from a book after therapy ended, but I'm at my worst at picking up the book is hard. Yeah, that's the thing. For me, CBT, I found when I was going for CBT, the therapist wasn't very good. She was a trainee therapist, but I was advised to take it because they said I'd go back on the waiting list for at least another 6 months, and I was in a really bad way, so I accepted it. She wasn't very good. She made me feel bad every time I didn't do the homework. She was making my anxiety worse. But a lot of the exercises that she was telling me to do were tools that I already had in my toolkit, and so she wasn't teaching me anything I didn't know. And there's been, like, especially with someone with like ME and fibro, because they try and say, there's been some medical professionals that try to say that it's all in your head. It's been proven that it's not, but they would give CBT to people with ME and fibro, and it doesn't work, right? Because it's not a head thing, it's a body thing. The stress can link it, but the CBT, being forced to go for it, was making you feel like it is in your head, which then stresses you out, which then kicks up the symptoms more, right? So yeah, again, there's cognitive dialectical therapy as well, CDT. There's all sorts. I think it's about just knowing, trying stuff out and finding what works for you. Anyway, wow, I've been chatting for an hour and a half about stuff. There were times I would literally just take days, 1 hour, half hour, 10 minutes at a time to get through the day. Such emerging. That's relatable. I feel you. There's sometimes where I'm like, this day will this day ever end? Like, it's the never ending day, and just trying to, like, you know, whatever helps. Like, I have a friend who has chronic illness who said that gaming really helped her get through some of her toughest times because it would distract her from her pain. So playing computer games, she wasn't able to work. She had to stay at home to recover, and playing computer games literally distracted her mind enough. She couldn't read, she was struggling to read, but playing computer games was engaging enough and didn't involve such, like, straight up close concentration. It really helped her. I empathise with that, Kelly. That's awful. She was hard. Yeah, she really made me feel. In the end, I said I can't go, and I just sort of sacked it off. That's not the point, and empathise waitlist. Yeah, it's really tricky, and to the point where the NHS is so defunded and is in such a state that I've given up trying to, like, access talking therapy or anything like that. I was given the information to sort of refer myself, but I just, like, I have friends who are even a worse headspace than I am, and I'd rather they get up the chain over me. There are entire sections of the CBT book I skipped, don't work for me at all. That's the thing, you know what works for you. That's good. Yeah, and I think maybe if I had because obviously not every therapist is the same, so it might not necessarily have been the CBT, it might have just been the therapist, but trying to find the right therapist without it being private, and I can't afford that. That's the thing. Health is having good health. I saw someone share a thing on Twitter yesterday, a herbalist that I follow, an American herbalist, and they shared, you know, those like trite memes, and it almost made me unfollow her, but I didn't want to engage with it. But she put health is wealth, and then underneath it put, if you don't have having good health is wealth, and blah 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 and all this stuff. And I thought, but you know what, health is also like a socioeconomic issue, and it has to do with, you know, again, systemic racism and ableism and like homophobia, and like, it's a privilege. And if you don't have the money, or you don't have, you are, women are notoriously more, their pain is taken less seriously than men. So if you're a woman, that's stacked against you. If you're a disabled woman, it's stacked against you. If you have neurological divergence or some kind of mental health issue, that's stacked against you, because it's all in your head, or they won't take you seriously enough, or if you grown up poor, or you don't have health insurance, if you're in the States, for example, it's stacked against you, right? Like, and that really rubbed me the wrong way. God, sorry. Stiff that little drip runny sort of allergies. I think it's springtime allergies. It's a privilege, and it's something that everyone should have access to. But there we go. I did 2 years of therapy, and some days you can't pull your tools. Yeah, exactly. And breathing is about all there is. Yeah, sometimes it's literally the only thing you have is focusing on your breath. Stephanie says, side note, but not really. I just received the Reclaim Oracle, and I think this is a great decks for self-care. I don't think I know that one. I don't really have many Oracle decks. Literally just received it now. Wow. So the postie's been our Canada health system doesn't cover mental health. See what I mean? It's so silly. I'm on a wait list with a non-profit. I cannot afford it out of pocket, but I can pay their sliding scale. That's really good when people offer sliding scale. That helps somewhat, right? I'm so glad to be able to spend time with you today. Thank you, Robin. That's very kind. So I'm going to sign off because it is 20 to 2. I've been chatting for nearly an hour and 40 minutes. I'm amazed some of you have been here since the beginning of this, whatever this was. A mental health ramble. I think I'll change the name to talk about to make it a bit more clear what we've spoken about today, in case anyone should want to watch it back. Because I get people telling me, "Oh, I watched your live back," and I'm like, "Why?" You weirdos, but I appreciate it. It's very kind of you, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you're just here for the chaos. I don't know. I feel like I was less chaos today. But yeah, I'm gonna go make some food. What am I gonna make? The toasted sandwich with pickles. Yum, yum, yum. But lovely to see you all in here. Hello and goodbye, I guess. Thank you so much for random impromptu live chat. I'm gonna go have some lunch, photograph all these pouches, and yes, Monday 4 p.m. UK time, which is Greenwich Mean Time, 12 new pouches going up in the shop. And hopefully a couple of other things, but I don't want to promise anything because it depends how the next few days go and if I have time to sew other things. This was a fantastic chat. Oh, thank you so much. And thank you, Soooo. That was lovely of you to say. So you all take care of yourselves, right? Okay. Self-care, self-love, whether that's your headspace, your body, both, right? It's all one and the same, really, when we think about it, right? And there's Fitz there. Hey. You all take care, and I will speak to you in the next one. Ciao.